Welcome back to the pod. It's definitely going to take me a second to get used to this entire experience of sitting in front of a camera and just talking into a microphone. I'm used to having monologues. If you've ever had a conversation with me, you know I can just go on and on, but this is definitely a different form of a monologue type experience. So, with my birthday coming up soon, you have a lot of people when it's New Year's or when it's their birthday, they just make a list of all of the things that they do, like they audit the last year, the highs and the lows, or they make a list of what they want to bring into the new year, what they're hoping to achieve, what they're hoping to cultivate. So with my birthday coming up soon, I already started to make this mental inventory of what's worked for me, the different lessons that I've taken away from this last year. And something came to my mind this morning that I just wanted to sit and have a monologue about. The different habits that we kind of force ourselves into cultivating because we know that they're good for us, because there's this kind of positive connotation around them. We know that there is an advantage, that it is going to benefit us on some level, but we don't allow ourselves to experience that firsthand. How am I going to explain this? It's like when someone goes to the gym, they enjoy the whole experience of going and training and feeling sore. That's a gym is their thing. But because you're not the type of person who exercises, for you, all form of exercise is just gym. You're aware of how movement is good for you. You don't have the first-hand experience to know that there are other types of movement aside from gym. You can go running, you can swim, you can do yoga, Pilates, bar. There are so many different types of movement. Because you haven't experienced it firsthand, you make up your mind about it through someone else's experience with it, not through your own. So this is what I mean when I say first-hand experience. Like knowing something is good for you, but you don't know it firsthand. You just know in theory that it's good for you. So a few of the different habits, healthy habits that we know are good for us and that we want to cultivate. I've always wanted to be the type of person who sits and who reads. I love reading. But I don't have the time to sit and read. Or I know exercise is good for me. Just cannot spare 20, 30, or 45 minutes or an hour to go exercise or to go to a class or move my body in any way, shape, or form. Another thing is I want to meditate. This is a whole other episode that I would like to record about meditation. But basically, a lot of people know the benefits of meditation, but they just can't sit still long enough to meditate, or they can't make the time, or they don't have the time to meditate. Journaling. Yes, I know journaling is so good. I don't have the time in the morning. I wake up late, I'm rushing, I need to start my day. I don't have the time to journal in the morning. Or at night, I'm just so tired from the day, I just want to go to sleep. I have used every single one of those excuses over the years. They're valid up to a certain point, but then the thing is you can't force yourself into these healthy habits. You need to understand your why. You know movement is good for you, but is that enough for you to actually start moving your body, to start going to the gym or to start practicing yoga? There needs to be some sort of emotional drive behind it. An example of this, I'm not quite sure where I saw or heard or read it, but it's about this person who became, I think, a grandparent. He wanted to be able to have enough energy to play with his grandkids, and he wanted to be healthy enough to lengthen his lifespan so that he can enjoy more time with his family. So for him, his why went from, okay, it's good to exercise. You know, there are like an endless list. There's an endless list of benefits to exercise, but there was no emotional drive behind it versus his emotional drive of, I want to be healthy enough to have better quality time and longer quality time with my family. So if you do not have an emotional drive behind the healthy habits that you're trying to cultivate, you don't have to sit and force one. It doesn't have to make sense logically. It just has to make sense in your heart, and it just has to make sense for you. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to anyone else or not. Like I said, all of these excuses are ones that I've told myself over the years. So I'm going to start with the first one, journaling. I have been journaling since I was in school. I don't remember the exact age, but back then it was more of having a diary. Now it's been reframed to journaling. I've always been one to write. I just enjoy writing. It feels good. It allows me to sit and reflect. It allows me to come face to face with my thoughts, with my emotions. It just feels safe for me writing. Because I've been doing it for such a long time, I know the benefits firsthand, from firsthand experience. I stopped journaling for a while, and then I reminded myself, I think I came across a few years ago, whether it was an Instagram post or something on Pinterest about how journaling is good. All things that I already knew, but it kind of relit that fire within me of, oh yeah, I enjoy journaling. I want to get back into it. The thing is, for me with journaling, yes, it allows you to reflect, but sometimes I just didn't feel like always sitting and reflecting and just being one with my thoughts. Sometimes I just wanted to ignore them. It's not good to always ignore them or to always compartmentalize everything that's going on in your head and your heart. But sometimes, if you're going to talk about journaling as a daily habit, I don't feel like sitting and journaling every single day. I just want to let the day go by without sitting and reflecting and dissecting and analyzing and just facing whatever happened head on. That's it. So whenever I felt like I had to journal every single day, whenever I was forcing this habit to become a daily habit, it just pushed me further away from it. But the more I distanced myself, the more I turned myself off of it, it started backfiring. So I did end up compartmentalizing. I did end up hiding my thoughts, my emotions, and it became like an emotional ticking time bomb. So the further away I got from journaling, not necessarily as a daily habit, just like as an overall habit, the harder it was to come back to it. So now, for me, journaling is a habit. It's just not a daily habit. It's something that through trial and error, I realized what format works for me. A couple of times a week, maybe once every other week, I would sit and like do a deep dive journal of everything. Some days the journaling is more of this was the high of today, or this was the high of the week, or this was the low of this week, and not always just unpacking everything. Sometimes it's just like taking down the minutes of a meeting, just writing things down at face value, just to have them written down, just to get everything out of your system. You don't have to sit and analyze and reflect on every single thing that happens. So that's my experience with journaling as a habit, going from a daily habit to just an overall habit. Coffee sip break. That is good. Another habit is meditation. So I always knew meditation was one of those things that it's good for you. There's an endless list of benefits as to why meditation should be something that you practice on a daily basis. And for a very long time, because it was something that I should do and there was no emotional drive behind it, I always came up with different excuses as to why I can't do it, or I didn't have the time, or whatever. And then there was the emotional drive. I started to meditate. It started with 5 minutes a day. Then it became 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I started to feel the sense of calm, the sense of ease. And for me, I think the main excuse behind not sitting down and meditating was that, oh yeah, with the moment I sit down, I'm going to have like this flood of thoughts that are coming, that are going to be surfacing, and it's going to keep me from being able to sit still and meditate. That's like telling someone, oh, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible. But you do yoga. Part of the reason you could do yoga is to become flexible. Flexibility is not a prerequisite. So for you to be able to sit down and meditate, having no thoughts is not a prerequisite. If anything, it's counterproductive. Again, whole other podcast episode that I want to record about meditation because I have so much to say. But basically, again, with meditation, there was an emotional drive behind it, and it became something that I wanted to do more than something that I felt I should do because I knew it was good for me. Another habit would be reading. I love reading. There's just something about pen and paper and this whole like letting your imagination run wild. I'm just very, very drawn to that. And if you know anything about me, you already know this. I don't even need to disclose this. So because I love reading, there was this kind of expectation of being a reader that you need to be reading every single day, or you need to be going through a couple of books a month. That's incredible. No, that's so unrealistic. I mean, who made the rule that if you're a reader, you need to read a book a month or 2 books a month, or you need to read every single day? I mean, yeah, it was easy during the pandemic, during lockdown, because there was nothing else to do. So you could sit for hours on end and just read and get through a couple of books a month. But it wasn't realistic. And I realized the more I was trying to force myself to read 20 minutes a day, because honestly, it really is that simple. Just put a timer on for 20 minutes. You can spare 20 minutes a day. Just put a timer on for 20 minutes, sit and read. But some days, yes, that timer, those 20 minutes keep you disciplined and you're able to hold yourself accountable. But on other days, you just don't have the mental capacity to be present with whatever story you're reading or whatever, because I read a lot of self-help and personal development books. So some days I just don't have the mental capacity to pay attention and be present with the information that I'm reading. So I just end up staying stuck on this single paragraph for 20 minutes. But it's like, oh, wait, no, technically, did I read? Or did I just waste 20 minutes that I could have been doing something else because I forced myself to read? So it's this fine line between doing something in a disciplined manner, because discipline over motivation, 100%. So it's a fine line between doing something in a disciplined manner to hold yourself accountable and between forcing something when it's just not the right thing for you in the moment. So, and I'm the type of person, I buy books. Like, I like to hoard books because I just feel safe around books. I like to have books lying around. I like to write in the books, write my notes, highlight, always come back to it. So when I found that I couldn't keep up with this habit of mine, I felt like, whoa, so you're not really a reader. If you can't give yourself 20 minutes a day where you're going to sit and read, you're not really a reader. Like, what the fuck? And that felt shitty. Like, your inner critic can be very cruel when it's bullying you. So reading went from something that I was doing in the pandemic for a couple of hours a day to maybe 20 minutes a day. And then it became something that was maybe an hour a month. But for me, I still enjoy reading. It's just the way in which I enjoy it has just evolved with time, with the different circumstances. But that doesn't mean that it's not a habit that I've introduced or I've cultivated in my life. Journaling, meditation, reading, movement. Whether it's gym, whether it's swimming, whether it's yoga, Pilates, bar, going for a hot girl walk, HIIT exercises, calisthenics. I have done them all because, like the example I gave in the beginning, I always knew movement was good for me. It has an endless list of benefits on all different levels, and I wanted that. I wanted those benefits. So at first, I used to think that movement was just going to the gym. I tried the gym. I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to expand on that. So I tried a bunch of I went through the weight training phase. I went through the CrossFit phase, through the spinning and cycling phase, yoga phase. It's not a phase. Yoga is a lifestyle now. I think I briefly went through a Pilates phase. I'm in a bar phase now. So I just enjoy movement in all. Swimming. I had a boxing phase as well. So I just enjoy movement in all shapes and forms. My inclination for different types of movements changes with the seasons. And before, I used to tell myself, weight training or going to the gym, because you like it, you enjoy it, you should do it all the time. But no, I don't enjoy training all the time. In summer, I like to just not be in a gym. I like to just be swimming. At first, I used to kind of force myself to train in a specific way because that's how it should be done. And then it took a lot of time, a lot of anger, or feeling disappointed with myself for not being able to commit and thinking that I'm just a quitter or whatever. Again, inner critic, big bully, can be very cruel, very mean. So I realized for me, movement matters, right? That's it. What it looks like can differ from seasons of the weather. or different seasons in life, or depending on the circumstances. It's not set in stone. It's not one size fits all. You need to leave a little bit of breathing room. You need to leave some margin of adapting it based on how you're feeling or based on the different circumstances in life. And I think this is the main takeaway that I had, and it's one of the reflections that I've been sitting with about the different habits, because there's a lot of habits that you start, you stop, sometimes you come back to, but it just looks different. Your experience with it has changed, or there's a lot of habits that you want to start to introduce into your life, but you feel like it's going to be so overwhelming to do that. There's a quote actually, I wanted to pull it up, but I completely forgot. I'm probably butchering it as I paraphrase it, but it's something along the lines of find a habit, make it tiny, introduce it into your daily life, and just watch how it naturally just becomes a part of your daily life. So I think with that, it's more about, it doesn't have to be, whether it's movement, meditation, journaling, reading, anything else aside from these 4 habits. It does not have to be this huge commitment. It doesn't have to take so much time or energy. You can start with a baby step. You know how they say you need to walk before you run? Well, sometimes you need to crawl before you walk, before you run. So it could just find a baby step version of this habit. Start doing it regularly until it just becomes a part of your routine. It just becomes like brushing your teeth. You don't think twice about it. It's just there. It's just part of your day. And then you can start to experiment with different versions and different variations of it. I think in my experience, that's the best way to really cultivate a habit for your own sake, if you really want to, if there's an emotional drive behind it, as opposed to cultivating a habit because you know you should, or you know it's good for you, or whatever. And there's another thing that I saw a while ago that's something along the lines of write the goal in pen, but the path in pencil, which essentially means like be determined, be disciplined about your vision, but be flexible on the path towards achieving that vision. And that's a reflection that I think could apply not just to these daily habits. That's a reflection that could apply to just anything in life. Be determined about the vision that you have, but be flexible about how you get there. Love that. Just